Hello, my friends. Jacob is here once again. Thank you for pressing play. The last couple of shows that I didn't blow the horn first. And let me tell you something. This is one of those shows that the horn needs to be blown. The trumpet has sounded. So I blew that trumpet for you guys, for all of you out there, because I don't even know where to begin to unpack this. There is so much. I think it spells trouble. I think it spells trouble for the world. I got to be honest. Look at all these notes. Look at all this. The show that I have for you today, unbelievable. Last program, I kind of teased that I was going to talk about some interesting things. And let's get into some of them quick before I get into the big part of the show, which has to do with, go figure, the baldness again. We've been talking about this on the program, right? Again and again and again. From the Oscars, the alopecia, to today. It's it's gonna be a longer show. It's not gonna be an hour long, hopefully not an hour long show. It's gonna be a longer show, so you got to stick around to the end because all of this stuff lines up, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me. But let me start off with. Going to take this as it comes. We're going to start off with Elon Musk. Okay, Elon, which everybody, there's a belief out there that he started from scratch and that he did all this stuff. It's all kind of a whitewash nonsense story. Nonsensical. His parents, they had a ton of money. They had their own jet and they owned an emerald mine. Emerald. I got an email. I was so happy to get the email where I was told, hey, check this out. Check this video out. Like 5 people sent it to me. So it's one of those things where it got my attention. An emerald mine, green, which is strange because I was looking into that iPet Goat 3. That, some people say, oh, it's not the same people, but it's the same music. But still, it seems to be playing out somehow. There's this character towards the end of the video. He's dressed, of course, in all green. A lot of people told me that Pelosi was just meeting with, the Green Man himself. The Green Man. His name means green. He always dresses in green. And of course, he was dressed like in, ready for battle in green with Pelosi. And a lot of people are like, hey, that's the Green Man. That's the green horse of the apocalypse, as I pointed out to the program. I think maybe not, but there's something to this. There's something to all this playing out. I thought, isn't it strange? You look at this this character who has the trident on his chest I talked about, and also it looks like he's driving a Tesla plane. You know, this one. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but I do know this does. He tweeted out, Elon Musk, this is what we have to do, right? Because he puts these tweets out. You know, we have to what is he trying to say? There's always something. If he's the most powerful guy in the world, connected to all the stuff, right? You connect the dots. He's putting out stuff. He gets a kick out of this. He tweeted out, per aspera ad astra. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I responded and said, okay, through hardship to the stars. It's a quote that was used for the Apollo mission, but there's more. See, there's more. The actual Latin phrase means through hardship or suffering through the stars, but it's actually in Russian. It comes from a Russian movie, Through the Thorns to the Stars. Now this is where our adventure begins, the thorns. We understand that thorns, Jesus was given a crown of thorns, right? Adam, when he was kicked out of the garden, it produced nothing but thorns, right? Every rose has its thorn. That's that song, which, by the way, was just featured in the last Outer Range show, which I now watch. And I can't believe I'm talking about Alicia and the bears, and I'm talking about the judgment of God that's being called on the wicked nations of the world. And then here, their last video, their last episode was all about Alicia, the bears, and those young children, or those young teens, 42 of which were like mauled by these two bears because they were pointing out Alicia. They were pointing out this prophet, and they were saying, you're bald, check out Baldy, making fun of him. And you know, that's not a good thing, right? It's not a good thing. We've talked about Elijah and how he had this battle with the prophets of Baal. All of this stuff has been playing out in the world. Right now, it's like the enemy's last stand. That's what they're doing. They're doing all this weird, goofy stuff. There's a spiritual battle going on, and God is speaking. God is speaking so loud and clear. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me. How many times have I talked on this program about, hey, this is going to happen? How many times have I talked on this show about maybe this will happen, maybe that'll happen, right? A lot of people were asking, hey, where's that thing where you said you had that dream about Trump and you said he was going to lose the election when all the other prophets of God, I'm not a prophet, I'm just Jacob, that's all I am, right? But all the other people were saying, oh, Trump's going to win in a landslide. It's going to be, I said, no, he's going to probably lose. And then the guy that takes over is going to be worse. And it's all a setup because I had this goofy dream where Trump was dead in a casket, covered in swamp moss. And on the left side, he was dancing and having a good old time. And I felt like he was kind of in on it. Over the years, if you're new to the channel, I've been telling everybody, don't get bogged into the nonsense. Don't be picking sides because the world is really corrupt right now, and God brings corrupt rulers in to correct those people. So it's better to just kind of serve God and not get too don't be picking sides, because if you think that all of a sudden, just like I said, one day Trump would be restored again, and then boom, here he is, restored again, Elon Musk being the one who does this, all of these things all tied together. CNN and many others are very worried that Elon is going to put the Trumpster back in office. So can this SpaceX dragon resurrect this seemingly wounded head of state? Looks like he lost everything. Remember the dream I had where he really didn't? He was dancing on the other side, seemingly wounded. Let's read Revelation 13. The dragon gave the beast system, not talking about a literal man, the beast system, its power, its throne, and great authority. One of the heads of state of this beast system seemed to have had a fatal head wound, but the fatal head wound had been healed, and the whole world wondered after this beast system. This is the thing, right? We're under the spell. I also said that this was gonna happen. The suffering of the world. Through the thorns we get to the stars. And then you have this amazing, this really interesting movie about spaceships and clones and all sorts of weird things that it's also based on. But really the word thorns, the thorns, that was the first thing when we were kicked out of the garden, right? That was the first thing that this world produced for us. Jesus was given a crown of thorns. And once again, if you don't know what it is, Paul was given a thorn in the flesh. He kept praying, oh, Lord, take this thorn out, right? I got those thorns. We all got those thorns. Lord, help us with that thorn, whatever it is, right? The cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches. This is what Jesus said the thorns are. The cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches. He took upon himself the sins of the world. The sins of the world are the thorns, cares of the world, deceitfulness of riches, and he puts out a quote about through the thorns to the stars, suffering, because you haven't learned the right way, you haven't learned the good way, so now you got to learn the hard way. You didn't come to Christ the first time around, right? To be broken, you said, "Oh, break me in my bad habits." No, now Christ is going to come. It's going to break you real good. How do I know this? Well, because they're establishing all of this, all of this truth stuff, the ministry of truth, which we just talked about. All the news, it's all about the truth, the truth, the truth. And I just did my little short, and I shared it in the last video about what is truth. At this moment in time, the government's asking, what is truth? And we got the Ministry of Truth coming out, right? Which is based on, of course, that's not the name of it, but that's what they're calling it. And if they're calling it that, that's what it is. Right? Based on 1984. They've said that this is 1984 enough times. You say things enough times, people start to believe it. It becomes a reality. Here it is. Voila. The Orwellian Ministry of Truth becomes a reality in Biden's America. That was one of the quotes. And I explained what a ministry is. It's a mini story. It's a mini story of the truth. Let me tell you a little story about the truth. Doesn't mean it is the truth, but I'll tell you one thing. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, they seem to be all about the truth, don't they? Right? Restoring free speech. But I would like to point out that Elon pointed out, let me explain exactly what free speech means. I simply mean that which matches the law. This is what he said. This is the guy that everybody's saying is the big hero, the guy that came from a massive amount of wealth and that a lot of people say is not as brilliant as he claims to be. Even though everybody's like, he's brilliant, he's brilliant, he's brilliant. Maybe he is brilliant. Or maybe he's just, just the guy that's been chosen to do the job. I don't know.
Is he part of the club? Well, yesterday he was tweeting about the Freemasons giving away their services for free at the 2018 Met Gala. He was wearing a New World Order jacket, which everybody was pointing out. Maybe he's in on the club. I don't know. That's what's on the dollar bill, New World Order. And now he's talking about possibly charging people. So maybe he's not really the guy. But let's listen to what he said about free speech.
But he said, I simply mean free speech that matches the law. I'm against censorship that goes far beyond the law. If people want less free speech, they will ask the government to pass laws to that effect. Therefore, going beyond the law is contrary to the will of the people. So I responded and I said, well, so what's the deal, right? So what's the deal? What if the law is bad? Like, that thing that went down where you were from? It's called apartheid. Not a good thing, right? Not a good thing. Some people say that you all profited from that. A lot of people say that you're not, you don't really care about people that have different, different classes, different races, stuff like that. People say bad things about you, Elon, right? Emerald mines. Trump just approves Dr. Oz, Wizard of Oz, Emerald City, right? Green horse of the apocalypse. I even got my elephant set to green today. So what if the law is wrong? Well, guess what? At the same time he takes over Twitter, in lockstep, this is when they put through new laws. The Department of Homeland Security's new Disinformation Governance Board. The appointment is Jankowicz, is her name. They're making jokes about her because she likes show tunes and she sings those little TikToks, and this is her.
So that's Joe Biden's disinfo czar, Nina Jankowicz, getting ridiculed for her Mary Poppins, but they use Mary Poppins as a description, which is ironic because Mary Poppins is known as a witch and traveled to the land of Oz. All about the Wizard of Oz lately. This is actually in the news today. The famed Wizard of Oz dress that was worn by Judy Garland, center of a lawsuit with the priest and all that. But we are talking about emeralds. Elon Musk, right? Emerald City. Maybe he's the Emerald City, huh? Well, where's Oz? That's right. He's speaking at the Trump rally. Remember, Trump endorsed him. So Oz is going to speak at the Trump rally, but who's behind Oz? Well, it looks like Donald Trump is. The man who's getting his voice back in power, it seems. But this disinformation wizard, czar, she called Hunter Biden's laptop disinformation. So there you have it. Let's talk about her more.
People have a problem. Right? People have a problem with this. They say that she was all about the disinformation about the connection between the Ruskies and Trump. The Ruskies and Trump, right? A lot of people say he looks like a Russian bear, a grizzly bear. Lots of weird things about Trump being a bear. This is going to make sense by the end of the show, of course, because it was a bear that Alicia said was coming and mauled those 42. Meatheads that were kind of mocking the prophet of God, but in so really mocking God. Especially after Elijah already pointed this all out about how screwed up everybody was worshiping these prophets of Baal and all this stuff, right? Tried to restore the temple, and what happens? But God is gracious, right? God has grace, so we don't have to worry about him giving up on us. I think her name is Nina Jankowicz, by the way. Speaking of God being gracious, the name Nina means God was gracious. Grace covers a multitude of sins. Grace, right? By grace we are saved through faith. Grace. While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And then here we are. Right now we must allow Christ to reign. Last name Jankowicz means son of John in Russian. John means graced by God. So you got God was gracious and graced by God, all past tense, in charge of this new thing. Connecting it once again to the Ruskies. Even Laura Ingram saying on Twitter, attention comrades, meet your new disinformation czar. But it's still out there. It's still happening. Now, why is this interesting? Well, let's talk about truth for a second, because truth seems to be everywhere. What is truth, right? The ministry of truth. Elon has been promoting, ironically, Truth Social, which is the Trumpsters, his social media site. Truth Social. Everybody's on Truth. It was like number one and being downloaded. Guess Trump's on there now. He made a little joke about Cove Fifi. Remember when everybody was giving him a hard time because he misspelled something? It seemed like he was misspelling something, but some people were like, maybe it means more. You look it up, Cove, and then you look at Fifi. Fifi means terrified, to be scared. And ironically, I got an email, and I was learning this and looking all this stuff up and thinking, should I share this? And then I got an email, someone saying the same thing to me, which I thought was so strange. So Donald Trump, who everybody thinks, once again, he's the guy, right? Even though the world showcased him as the emperor conqueror. Remember this? That's always been my concern. It's always been my concern on the program, right? And I said, I even gave it a date. I said right about now would be when things would start to. In my novel, it's September 2022, when all of this stuff really, really kicks into high gear. Very interesting, especially considering I got a character that's known for towers, known to be the best salesman there is, giant among men, who is, his number one advisor is like a 30-something really good-looking blonde. I've, over the years, said, well, maybe that's him. Maybe somehow, some way, it was placed there so that when it happened, people would wake up. Who knows? They call him the Trump of God. I've done a lot of videos about Donald Trump and all the interesting things, him being born on the blood moon and all of these things, him being inaugurated into office, when he was inaugurated, all of these things on the 70th anniversary of the 70th this and the 70th that, all of these things. If you want, check out that show. Catch up. Catch up. But it's all about truth, right? So when Pilate was asking, what is truth? This was right before Jesus was about to be scourged. This is right before Jesus was about to be put to death. This is like right before big persecution comes. Now you have to remember something. The stories that we read about in the Bible, they've been literally playing out. Even the stuff that's going on up in the heavens. In this, in the stars and the planets and all that stuff. The weird, the two eclipses that I put a lot of faith in. And I said, this is it. And about at the halfway mark on December 14th, there was an eclipse. And I said, this is Jacob's time of trouble. I think it's starting. It's going to start on this day. Like weird. Why would I say that? Because it was the day in between 1,211 days on either side. Revelation 12:11. And they overcame the system by the blood of the Lamb and by the message of their testimony, and they loved their lives not unto death. I'm hoping I'm quoting it correctly, but Revelation 12:11 is like, this is the marking point. And guess what happened from that eclipse on? We had the Markado, man. We had the dates of man. We had a lot of stuff. We got the thing that's going on right now, and the hey you crane, right? All of these things happening for a reason, to wake us up. But who's waking up? Who's really coming to the knowledge of the truth? When Elijah was, and Elisha had to take over, picked up Elisha's mantle. It would be almost like anybody who shares the truth of God, like, the spirit of Elijah comes upon them. That's what it was. Spirit of Elijah was on Elisha. Spirit of Elijah, you could say, was upon me. The witnesses of God. Hey, look at this. I am a witness. So are you. Christ said, you'll be my witnesses in the world. So this would be the moment. The trump of God, the trumpet of God. I blew the trumpet. Sound the alarm in my holy mountain. Right? There's going to be a people that's going to rise up. The world's so corrupt. What God does is he brings up this remnant of people that start to stand up, and they share the wonderful works of God, and they start to speak the truth of God, the literal truth of God. But the system's going to say, this is the truth. This is the truth. What is the truth? We tell you what the truth is. It's Truth Social. Ironically, so Elon, after he buys Twitter, promotes Truth Social and then says Truth Social exists because of Twitter. What he's really saying is, this has all been set up for a reason. It's all happening according to plan. I just bought Twitter. I'm gonna promote now. I'm gonna promote Truth Social. Interesting. Then he goes on to say, guess what the social network that Trump has should be called? He said, it should be called Trumpet. Should be called Trumpet instead. Trumpet Social. It's just so bizarre. Because if you were looking at it, see, they say in the end days that corruption will be it'll be tricky. Like even the elect, even those that are chosen to know the will of God, they could be fooled. That's why God cuts this time of Jacob's trouble, which 3.5 years or so, right? Which I said, we're in it. And I wasn't joking. And if you've been here long enough, you could say, wow, you know what? Before that, when he said all this stuff was going to happen and then it started to happen, it was all right. But then when he said, oh, it's going to get even worse, I don't know. But then it got worse. You see what I mean? So here we are again at the precipice of something, and I feel like it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse for the people that are wicked. For the people that are wicked. Trust me, there may be they love their lives not unto death. I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but this is the kind of faith we have to have. So the ministry of truth, right? Everywhere you see Truth Social should be called Trumpet instead. He says truth. All these things are happening at just an amazing, it's really remarkable to me, especially since Elon's 50th just took place. This is a big thing. They're taking a look, and right, he's around my age, I guess. From emeralds to SpaceX, to Green Man, to Tesla. Is The Onion in 2018 tied Musk to apartheid, and Musk was not happy. That's when he switched over to the Babylon Bee. This is all going to tie into something remarkable. Even I shared a little snippet in the last program. The Babylon Bee. Remember I told you they're a Christian organization. Why would you title your organization the Babylon Bee? The Babylon bee. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Bee. You know what a bee is? You see the bees everywhere, right? Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, they had the bee pendants. The bees, right? The hive mind. You got Queen Bee. This is very symbolic. A lot of people are like, oh, it's an Illuminati thing. Yes, it is. But there's more. It's not just about the bee. It's what it represents. It's like a coded message. And the code has been revealed in the trident. Thank you very much. Yes, the trident, which I've been seeing everywhere. So much so that I get it. I was cleaning Ethan's room, and he was watching Sniper Wolf. And I looked up and it looked like she has like a trident up there. And I'm like, what is with the trident everywhere? Trident on the flag, you got the trident here, you got the trident there. I've explained on the show over the last, couple of months, right? Because it goes all the way back to the summer of the soul and it being symbolic of the psyche of man, but really it's about the god of the sea. This is the weapon, the trident, which is also known as, just so you know, the fleur de lis, the bumblebee, this thing. I even shared a little bit about how Tesla's logo on the car, it's a trident. They say cars with trident logos. I know that he says it's something part of the engine, but it's a trident regardless. So his mom's a big model. She does all the Illuminati stuff, right? The dad was, I think he knocked up his stepdaughter or something. People say that it's a mess. It's a mess. These people, they're interesting. How it all ties together. It's almost like God is speaking so loud and clear. Okay, but the fleur de lis. Now you see this a lot. You probably think of royalty when you see it, right? I didn't understand. I was like, Lord, why am I seeing the trident everywhere? What does it mean? I kind of understand what it means, but why is everybody featuring it? And then I realize, it's revealed to me. It's a brand. It's a mark. The fleur de lis, the trident, the bumblebee, it's a mark that you own slaves. They would put the fleur de lis on slaves. Slavery. This is the day that we're in. Israel, they were slaves. They didn't even know it. Ironic, right? Like the saints, you would think the saints, that's their logo, which they say probably not good. The most sinister of uses for the fleur de lis was in the slave trade. They used the fleur de lis to brand slaves like cattle. Bah! Right? Cattle, sheep, herd, Amber Heard, the Sea Queen in Aquaman with the trident. That's interesting to me, but nowhere near as interesting to me is the fact that they just discovered a 4,500-year-old sculpture of Anat, all right, in the Gaza Strip. While I was plowing to plant the land, we discovered the statue. Abu Eid. Eid said, Abu Eid. The guy who discovered this, Abu Eid, discovers this head of the goddess of war, also known as the goddess of love. By the way, has a lot of other gods, other names. Athena being one of them, Minerva being another, and connected to the trident. Connected to the trident, connected to great judgment, connected to war. Interesting. Comes out at the same time, a temple of Zeus was discovered. A lot of people like, you shouldn't say Jesus. And I've said this on the show for many years. Jesus comes from Zeus, and it was like a little translation. Really, the better translation would be Joshua. Comes from Yahshua. But who knows, really, in the grand scheme of things. But a temple of Zeus was just in Egypt, dedicated to the temple of the King of Gods. A lot of interesting things going down. A lot of interesting things taking place. I said over the last couple of episodes, last week, the week before that, talked about the curse that was being poured out on the people. Because of how wicked everybody is, God's curse has come. Talked about the alopecia, talked about Elisha and the bear, and then ironically today it hits me. This is where the goosebumps start, people. Get ready. This is just so bizarre to me. So basically the story goes, Elisha, here, you know what? I think I even have it. I can read it to you. Elisha was going down to Bethel. Now, Bethel, by the way, is in my novel. I didn't know this when I first wrote my novel back in 2008. Well, when I first started writing it back in college, I didn't know that Bethel was the place where God spoke to Jacob. So it's ironic that here's Jacob writing a novel, and the whole novel takes place in a town named Bethel. So I find that strange. If you look at the story, it's almost like my story, which is interesting. So Jacob had left. He was going to Haran. He reached a certain place in his life. He stopped for the night. Sun had set. He took one of the stones. He rested his head on it. By the way, this stone is called the Stone of Destiny, Jacob's pillow. Some people call it the Ben stone. This has to do with Egypt. I'm going to be getting into that in the future because this is important. He had a dream of that stairway to heaven, right? And he built an altar there in Bethel. And when he gets later in life, he's told to go back to Bethel. It's a big deal. But when he was in Bethel, this is kind of an interesting thing. He awoke from his sleep because he had this dream of God. Angels of God, the messenger of God, were ascending and descending on the ladder. And of course, we know that Christ is the ladder, and they were ascending, and Christ is within us. So this all took place within. There above it stood the Lord, said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land in which you're lying. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth. They'll spread out to the east, to the west, to the north, and the south. So basically, all of Israel has been all over, sprinkled everywhere. It's not about one literal place. I will not leave you until I've done what I promised you. When Jacob woke up from his sleep, he said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I wasn't aware of it. He was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. It's within. No matter where Jacob went, God was there. But he built this altar, just like this. This would be, you could consider this an altar. This is a place that I've dedicated to the Lord. When I came back here, I was in Long Island, and I was told to go and work for Laban. Just like Jacob did, I went and I worked for Christian TV. And then after, 7 years there and 7 years over at this place, and then I came back here, built this, and then here we are now. At a place in time, back in the day, things weren't that great, and there was a great famine that was going to be revealed and released on the land. But going to Bethel is an important thing. Going to the house of God is an important thing. So it's ironic that Elisha was going to Bethel, and that's when everybody came out to taunt Elisha. It's ironic. It's kind of like at a point in time, God's calling you to come to the knowledge of the truth, the stature of the perfect man. Ask for the truth no matter what the cost, right? Lord, I want to serve you, whatever. You know what they're going to do? You got the 50 or so, they said 42 were destroyed. Come against you, making fun of you, calling you baldy, trying to stop you from going to Bethel. It's interesting. So what does Elisha do? Calls down a curse on the people. Says, you know what? God's gonna mess you all up for making fun of me. Talk about the weird symbolism of how that sarcophagus, that lead sarcophagus in the Notre Dame Cathedral. If you haven't seen that program, you need to watch that show. Watch it now. How Pandora's box was going to be opened, right? They're going to open that sarcophagus, that sealed sarcophagus in lead. Talk about the curse. All right, Joan of Arc being put to death, being burned as a witch because she was hearing from God. Talk about the curse, persecution that's coming again and again and again. And all I keep seeing is more of that being portrayed. More of this persecution that's coming. More of this time of trouble that's going to get worse. We got to love our lives not unto death. In other words, we got to continue to seek God. We got to continue to move towards God. God's going to provide for us. I guarantee it was scary when Israel was released from their servitude, when they were released from the trident, when they were released from that mark, that fleur-de-lis, the bumblebee, when they were released from their slavery, and the system was coming at them. So, oh, no, you can't leave. You can't leave. You got to go get the wackadoo, and you got to go get it. You got to get another one, and then you got to get another one, and you got to do exactly what we say, and you can't complain, and we're going to tax you more, and things are going to cost more, and it doesn't matter. You can't leave. And when they leave, what happens? Full force of the law comes against them. That's what's happening right now. People that are sympathizers, if you agree with certain things, first of all, let me tell you something. War is wrong. I don't agree with any of it. I don't know what the Lord is doing, but I know the Lord is course correcting. I don't know who the good guys are. I don't know who the bad guys are. I just want an end to all this. I want people to come together. I want the truth of God to be revealed, the real truth of God, not the truth social, not the what is truth, not that, because I think a wicked ruler is about to be revealed. Even worse. I really do. Because of this bear. Because of the bear that's everywhere. You're going to see. Give me a second. Talking about the curse. Talking about the curse tablets. Talking about everything. Maybe now people will start to listen. Now that the government's talking about truth. What is truth? From there, Elisha went up to Bethel. Now you notice you got to go up to Bethel, right? You got to go up to Bethel. You got to go up to the house of God. You got to lift yourself up out of the nonsense that you're in. This is in 2 Kings chapter 2, by the way. As Elisha was walking along the road, some boys came out. That doesn't mean boys. It couldn't just mean children. Came out of the town and jeered at him, saying, "Get out of here, Baldy." They said, "Get out of here, Baldy." He turned around, looked at them, and called down a curse on them in the name of the Lord. The 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the boys, and he went on to Mount Carmel and then returned to Samaria. Mount Carmel, by the way, means the garden, the orchard. That's where the battle went down between Elijah and the prophets of Baal. The battle's in the garden. You see what I mean? Mount Carmel is here now. Say to this mountain, be cast into the sea, the mountain of truth, the real truth of God. So the question is, right? The question is, why am I talking about the bear? Well, Outer Range, the program that I've been watching, whole episode featured like a big bear. Whole episode. And they start the episode and guess what they're quoting? That right there. Get out of here, Baldy. That's in the show. Which is interesting. Now, I wasn't even going to mention this except for this morning when I'm having my coffee, right, with Danielle, who seems to be relapsed now. She's all stuffy again, not feeling good, went to the doctor. Doctor wasn't nice to her. I see Enter the Stars Casey. I did a show with him on Scariest Movie Ever years ago, and I've been subscribed to Casey. I like anybody who looks at things. And he was talking about it. I'm going to add a little bit to it. So if you know Casey and you don't Enter the Stars, tell him to check it out. And if you don't know the channel, check it out. So it's a very cool channel. He takes a lot of stuff with movies and entertainment, and he finds a way to tie it all together. Of course, I don't agree with everything he says, and I'm sure he doesn't agree with everything I say. I'm not endorsing his spiritual walk, but I will say that God used that show this morning to get me to come to all of you. I like Casey, though. I think he's a cool dude. In this episode, they're talking about that, and then there's this thing with this bear, right? And a little baby bear that's dead. And so the question then becomes, what's the bear? I'm at the gym. Of course, what do? I pray, right? I pray. You know, the last two shows that I didn't blow the horn. Usually what I'll do is I blow the horn. Now it's become like a thing for me. I'm like announcing, I'm like, da, 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 got another show, right? Lord, bless this show. Let it be used to glorify you and your name. Last two shows, I wasn't really feeling it. This show, I'm feeling it. This is like a warning. It's get your house in order. What are you waiting for? Repent, make peace, love, seek, continue to pray. And I don't mean in the morning once, recite something. I mean nonstop. Direct me, Lord. Help me, Lord. This is going to be an interesting thing. I'm going to talk to Donut about this, though. I think we could, so he can verify the conversation we had, and I want to get this other guy involved. I think today's a day where we're going to see the wonderful works of God, even like miracles, even things that couldn't be possible, right? Like all these little things people can say are coincidence. Oh, it's a coincidence. You said 3 points for this. It's a coincidence. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I never say I know what I'm doing. Right? I just kind of go with the flow. I'm looking at things, looking at the signs of the times, and this is kind of what I'm getting at. Like, why am I focused on Alicia and the Bears? Why is it on that show that I'm watching and that I'm very interested in right now? Lead character who played Thanos, right? Population control with the snap of a finger, all tied together. Because in Proverbs 28 we learn, like a roaring lion and a rushing bear is a wicked ruler over a poor people. The bear that was called down on those 42, ironically, the member of the League of Nations, I don't know if you can see that, 42. In the news right now, Title 42 is about immigration and people crossing the border. It's a big deal. 42. All the nations of the world coming together. We got to launch a declaration for the future of the internet. We're going to tell people what the truth is, and we're going to enforce it with guns, as it seems. Get arrested now if you just say, "Hey, I don't like what I'm seeing." That's what it seems like. That seems like persecution to me. That seems like a wicked ruler is over the people. But what if there's a bigger bear coming? So, of course, what do? Who do I think about? I think about the Trumpster, who I'm hoping, because he's, it's like you want to like him. But you look at all the things, Operation Warp Speed, you look at the tax this and that, and you think that these guys they all hate each other, but yet somehow they all kind of work together. It seems like there's an agenda and it's being played out just like a great script. All of a sudden now he's going to have a voice again. Whoa, never saw that coming. Unless you've been watching the channel for a long time. I said it wasn't going to take long. '42, symbolic of nations of the world, about to get mauled by some bear. What kind of a bear? A wicked ruler. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So as I'm dabbling and I'm thinking about this bear, I say, oh, well, Lord, if you're telling me that the bear is at the door or the bear is at the gate, then a bear must be in the news. So, of course, I Google within the last week, time frame week, and of course, bears are everywhere. Guess what they're saying? Morgan Stanley's warning of a bear market. I even tweeted about this. I said, the bear is at the door. Buckle up. A wicked ruler is a bear to the Lord. The nations of the world are about to be faced with a huge crisis. A bear is about to maul him, if you will. Trump eat a bear, little plush toy. That was like a big thing. It was like a meme going around. Trump eat a bear. I don't know if you remember back in 2020 or so, Donald Trump Jr. It was a big deal in Alaska. I think got approved to go shoot a bear. Just it's interesting. A lot of people say Donald Trump looks like a bear. That was a meme going around. Grizzly. Weirder than that, Newt Gingrich obsessively compared Trump to the bear. He's like a grizzly bear, comparing Donald Trump to the grizzly bear in The Revenant. The Revenant, where the guy gets attacked and mauled by a bear. So of course I check, is the bear at the door? And of course, clever bear captured on video opening the front door to a house. But that's not it. Oh my goodness. Black bear breaks into Connecticut home. Black bear sneaks inside a car in Cornwall. Black bear unfazed when he's caught destroying something from the inside. This time of the year, be aware of bears. And then of course, in Antarctica, they just had the eclipse, Antarctica, right? They got beardar. It's like radar, but beardar to keep humans safe from the bears that are coming. Rapids police warn of bear sightings 3 hours ago. Police say in Lawrence, don't go near that bear. So you put all this together and you start to say, well, maybe some suffering's coming, right? Maybe some persecution's coming. Maybe a wicked ruler is about to be set up and everybody's going to applaud and cheer the wicked ruler because it's, he's been restored. It's ironic. I made little jokes about the SpaceX Dragon giving, power back. Because that's what everybody's saying. Now that he bought Twitter, it's going to put Trump back in office. So the Dragon, SpaceX Dragon, gives power to one of the heads of the beast. Not that he's the beast. The beast is the system. The beast is the system, like there were 42. That was a beastly thing, called him Baldy, right? 42 nations of the world, right? The founding members. This is interesting. 42 is like the meaning of life, everything, the meaning of everything in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. 42. Through the thorns to the stars, through the suffering. So the suffering precedes, the glorification. The suffering precedes being closer to God. Took upon himself the thorns, the sins of the world. So did we. I got a thorn in my flesh. By grace we are saved. Grace. And then we got Grace, who's the head of the disinformation campaign. Interesting. Disinformation campaign, countries of the world coming together. We got to protect the internet. All it is happening now. Right about now. Why? Because God is about to stand. Why? Because the truth is about to be revealed. The real truth, not the what is truth. I've had a lot of weird and interesting things take place over the years that I like to share, and I know we're going to see a lot more. But this, my friends, feels important to me. It feels like I'm really interested to see where this is all going, and I'm hoping that I'm just being a big worrywart. But I want you all to get your house in order. I want you all to love each other and not be scared. Love your lives not unto death. Just put your faith in God and know that God's got this handled for you. You want to see? You want to see? You know what? I have so much faith. I have so much faith that I haven't... I'm going to pull this out so you know I'm not cheating. I'm just going to flip through this, and I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to ask him, say, okay, Lord, would you give us something? Is suffering and stuff coming? And do we got to worry? Just give us something. And I'm just going to stop. I'll just stop at a random page. And I'm just going to look. Look at what I opened up to. What was I just talking about? Listen to this. He left the house and he went into his house. The disciples came to him and said, explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field. He answered, the one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed stands for the people of the kingdom. The weeds are the people of the evil one. And the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age. I open up to this. And I say, is correction coming to the evil? And are the good people going to be okay? And then this is what I open up to. This is quite coincidental, right? Two things coming together. The harvest is the end of the age, and the harvesters are the angels. The weeds are pulled up first and burned into the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The weeds, the wicked. The Son of Man will send out his angels. That word angel, evangelos, it means those that just spread the truth of God. The truth is like a fire and it burns the lies of the world away. Not social truth, not truth platform, not what is truth, not as the ministry of truth, but the truth of God, which destroys the lies of this world. The Son of Man will send out his angels and they will weed out his kingdom, everything that causes sin and all that do evil. They will be thrown into the blazing fire where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whoever has ears to hear, hear this. Now that's cool, because that's exactly what I've been talking about, and that's exactly what I open up to. This is so incredible to me. So incredible to me. It's time to humble ourselves, people. It's time not to worry. Just live your life to the best of your ability. Do the best that you can. You stumble, you make a mistake. We all make mistakes. Just get up and take another step, right? Keep getting up. Keep trying harder. God doesn't expect perfection. God is going to correct you until you do. Through the thorns to the stars, suffering produces that great, beautiful pearl called the kingdom of heaven that's within you. Suffering of the oyster. All right? So, I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Share the channel around. Share the video around. Do your part. If you're not liking and you're not sharing this and you're not subscribed and you're not doing all you can, please do. Please do. Because I believe this is important. I believe the day we're in is important, and I believe that each and every one of us need to pay attention to the signs of the times. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. like the light that led men from the east to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. While trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set. The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling. Click it.